Just going to give a minute to see if people join us live. Hello, how are you? I have everyone muted. You don't have to keep your camera on if it makes you feel uncomfortable. That's okay. I'm going to put it in focus view anyway. So mostly what we'll be seeing is the presentation and not all of our faces. I always find people just get uncomfortable when we have their pictures up all the time. And I'm going to share my screen and bring up my slides. And I'm going to try to get rid of this little box up here. Let's see. So today we're talking about Mediterranean lifestyle habits for longevity. So if you have any questions at the end, you can always ask them at the end, and you can unmute yourself if you want to, or you can just type them into the chat box. And if you are watching the replay, you can always write to me at DeRosa@DonnaDeRosa.com and ask me any questions that you have, or you can go right to my website, DonnaDeRosa.com, and go to contact. And there's a little form there that will also just send me an email. So either way you want to do it. So I like to start off with a quote all the time. So this is by geneticist David Andrews Sinclair. Only 20% of our longevity is genetically determined. The rest is what we do and how we live our lives. I think that's very important to note. Today's talk was inspired by Queen Elizabeth II, who lived late into her 90s and stayed healthy for most of those years. Now, her husband also lived to be 99. Now, genetics can play a factor in your health and longevity, but they're only part of the picture because Queen Elizabeth's mother lived to be 101. So obviously she had some good genes on her side. But her father, who was a very heavy smoker, only lived to be 56. And likewise with Queen Elizabeth's sister, Margaret, I think her name was, she was also a heavy smoker and a heavy drinker. And while the queen lived a much more moderate lifestyle, she outlived her sister by 25 years. So genes are only going to take you so far. It's our lifestyle choices that really play a part in this as well. So how you are going to feel when you get into your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, your 90s, and if you're lucky enough to get into your hundreds, is really beyond is just up to you. I'm in my 50s now, and I know that I feel older. Now, inside in my brain, I feel the same way that I always did. But, things hurt me now that never hurt me before. And I know that if I eat badly or I drink too much wine, the next day when I get up, like my knees will hurt a little and maybe my ankles, just from inflammation. But when I do eat healthy and I don't drink any wine, I don't think about my knees at all. So these are the kind of things we don't think about when we're younger. But things start to creep up on us as we get older. So I want to go through some lifestyle habits that we can adopt to help us live longer, because not only is it important to want to live long, but you want to stay as healthy as late into life as possible. You want to stay active so you can be independent as late into your years. And so you don't have to have, assistance or anything like that. So if you are new to me, I would just like to tell you a little bit about myself first. My name is Donna DeRosa. I'm the author of the Big Book of Mediterranean Diet Cooking and the Flexitarian Cookbook for Beginners. And also, both of those are available in bookstores across the country. And also A Year of Graceful Living, which was an ebook that I wrote a long time ago, but is still available on Amazon. So I'm a former automotive journalist and a managing editor, and now I'm a lifestyle and wellness coach who specializes in Mediterranean living. I have two websites, DonnaDeRosa.com, where I write about lifestyle and wellness, and mostly Mediterranean.com, where I share recipes. I also have a YouTube channel where you can see all of this in action. So let's get into the tips. So my first one is to get regular, moderate exercise. So that means not too little exercise and not too much. So you'll notice that moderation is going to be a theme throughout this presentation. Though it's suggested that most people should get 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day. So if you're someone who doesn't do any kind of exercise, even going for a 10-minute walk is going to be beneficial for you. And then try to go a little bit further each time you go. And if you don't do any exercise, always make sure that you check with your doctor first. Or, you can do a stretching routine. Anything that you do at home is going to make you feel so much better than doing nothing. It's important to find some type of exercise that you enjoy doing, because you don't want to think of exercise as a chore. A lot of times we think of exercise as just a way that we're supposed to burn calories, but exercise can be fun. So if you find something that you actually enjoy doing, you may enjoy doing it more often than you do. So not everyone wants to go to a gym, but maybe you like to take walks, or maybe you like to walk your dog, or walk to the store, or maybe you enjoy gardening. Gardening is good exercise too. And even housework is exercise. And sometimes if I don't feel like doing any kind of organized routine, I'll just put some music on at home and I'll kind of dance around the house. So try to get some kind of cardio in your routine, but also do some strength training and some flexibility exercises as well. So if you haven't exercised in a long time, like I said, make sure you check with your doctor, because exercise is key to mobility as we get older. We don't want to just grow old and not be able to still enjoy life and do things. And there's a recent study that talked about exercise and Alzheimer's. Now, I know that the medical community doesn't know a lot about Alzheimer's and dementia yet, but they're trying to find out. And they'll always tell you things like you should do crossword puzzles and keep your mind active, and watch game shows and read and things like that. But some of the more recent studies show that walking every day can really help with prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. So that's something to think about. And I actually want to stop sharing my screen for a second because I want to show you something. I do workouts with Jane Fonda sometimes. I have her DVDs, or I'll find her on YouTube, and she's in her 80s now. I think she's about 84, but she recorded these exercise videos when she was about 70, 71, and they're really geared toward people who are getting older in life and how to maintain their mobility. And I just want to show you one exercise because it's really simple and it's really important. So one of the things that she did was she's sitting in a chair, and she just had you hold onto the back of the chair and turn around this way and look behind you, and then to do it on the other side too. And she said, you need to do this exercise every day, because think about, this is the movement that you use when you back your car out of the parking spot or out of the driveway. And if you want to stay independent when you get older, you're going to want to be able to do that and see behind you, right? So I just wanted to show you that little exercise because I think it's so important. It's something that simple can really, just help you in many, many ways. So let me share my screen again and get back to my program here. So the second tip is to eat a varied diet of mostly plants. The Mediterranean diet is about eating lots of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, healthy fats, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and reducing the amount of meat that we eat, red meat in particular. Now, that doesn't mean you have to become a vegetarian, right? But eating vegetables and cutting down on red meat and replacing it with a healthy protein source, like more vegetables. There's a lot of plant-based proteins out there, or fish or seafood or another whole grain or fruit can really, sorry, I'm looking at my notes, can really help you keep your body healthier. And it helps cut down on things like, well, it helps prevent heart disease and helps cut down on your chances of getting cancer. It helps control your blood sugar, your mood, and even inflammation in the body. And, now that I'm older, I can really feel a difference when I eat meat. Rather than eating plant-based. Like when I eat meat, I feel much heavier and I'm a little more sluggish. But when I eat vegetables and fish, I feel energized and my brain functions better and I feel more alert. As we get older, things like heart disease, cancers, type 2 diabetes, even feelings of stiffness and soreness due to inflammation can start to take hold. So give yourself the best chance by eating a better diet. We are what we eat is really true, of the saying for a reason. And I always recommend the Mediterranean diet because you won't feel deprived on the Mediterranean diet because the food is so good. My next tip is blood pressure. As we age, our blood pressure can elevate due to a lifetime of eating habits. It can go higher when we're in menopause, when we're feeling stressed. There are so many things that can cause your blood pressure to go high. So if your blood pressure is high, it causes stress on your arteries, making them less elastic, which decreases the flow of blood and oxygen to your heart. And this is what can lead to heart disease. So I like to check my blood pressure at home once in a while, because when I go to the doctor's office, I have something that they call white coat syndrome or white lab coat syndrome, something like that, to where I get stressed out when I go to the doctor's office, even though, I'm not going there for any reason. It's just for a checkup, but my blood pressure always goes higher when I get there. And as soon as they take my blood pressure, I relax and it goes back down. So my doctor knows this about me now. So when I go to the office, they take my blood pressure. And then once we're into the visit and we're talking, he says, I'm going to take your blood pressure again and see how low it went. And it does. It always goes lower. So I like to monitor it at home and I don't obsess about it. I don't do it every day. But as we get older, blood pressure is something that we need to pay attention to. If you haven't been to the doctor in a while, you should make an appointment to get your blood pressure checked, because blood pressure is called the silent killer because you may not even know that you have it. And, good eating habits, maintaining a healthy weight, and moderate exercise can help lower your blood pressure, and also learning how to deal with stress. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again, just so I can show you. I'm not sure if you can see me when I do this. But the thing is with blood pressure that it goes like this throughout the day. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down, depending on what you're doing, how you're feeling, what you're eating, if you're exercising, if you're moving, if you're watching TV, something might be stressful and it goes up. It's when it goes up and it kind of stays up in that range that it gets dangerous. So it should go up and down all day long. That's why we have to monitor it. It's healthy for it to go up and then come down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down. When it stays up, that's when it can get dangerous. So let's see. I don't know if you can see me when I'm doing that or not. Okay, my next tip is to get quality sleep. And again, moderation. Don't get too much sleep and don't get too little sleep. The standard that they always tell us is that people need to get 8 hours of quality sleep at night, but everybody's body is different. So you may need 7 hours, you may need 8, you may need 9. I work best on 7 hours of sleep. So you have to determine what is best for you. You have to listen to what your body needs. And, if I sleep any less than 7 hours, I just don't feel right. And, and I am a little foggy during the day. But likewise, if I get too much sleep, I feel a little groggy as well because I feel a little sluggish. So when I am working on about 7 hours sleep, that's my optimal for me. So when we get quality sleep, that's when our bodies heal and you'll get sick less often. You'll function better when you're awake. Your mood will improve. You'll lower your risk for developing serious health problems. And an added bonus, you also burn calories while you sleep. So how do you get quality sleep? One of my best tips is to set up your bedroom for maximum relaxation. So don't be distracted by a television in your bedroom. Give yourself some time to wind down before you go to sleep. You may be listening to some relaxing music or read a book or write in a journal. Put your phone away and do something that gets your day out of your head, gets those stresses out of your head, and you will have a much better quality sleep that evening. Well, my next tip is a sense of purpose. Everyone needs, you need goals in life and you need to feel useful. And we all need to feel we're contributing to society in some way. Now, this may be, raising your children to be fine adults or passing your knowledge and your traditions on to your grandchildren. Or it may be a career path or volunteering in your local community. If you get up every day with a purpose, you're going to feel much better about the day. Don't stop no matter what age you are. I have a quote from a neurologist named Dr. Howard Tucker. And he said, I look upon retirement as the enemy of longevity. I think that to retire, one can face potential shriveling up and ending up in a nursing home. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stay at your job until you're 97 years old. But what he means is that, most people leave their jobs in their 60s or their 70s to find another purpose, to find a hobby, do something that you enjoy, or travel, or volunteer. Have a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and it will keep you young. My next tip, I'm going to take a sip of water. My next tip is to have animal companions. Interacting with animals can decrease stress levels and lower your blood pressure. Taking care of another being, making sure they are fed, clean, and happy can reduce loneliness and boost your mood. Now, I think of Queen Elizabeth II and her corgis. She used to take them for long walks in the countryside for exercise. So she would get her walking and she'd be taking her animals. They followed her around everywhere. She interacted with them daily. It was her responsibility to feed them and things like that. She didn't leave it to her staff. So if you live alone or if you're an empty nester Or even just right now, you may want to have a dog or a cat or even a bird or a fish or some kind of little furry friend to take care of. They look forward to seeing you as soon as you wake up in the morning and as soon as you walk in the front door, and you just can't beat that, right? My next tip is to spend time in nature. Studies have shown that spending at least 2 hours a week outdoors in a natural setting is linked to good health. And the more green that you have around you, the better. Now, the Japanese have a concept called forest bathing. They call it ecotherapy, and it involves walking in the woods and using all of your senses to connect with nature. So to go someplace like a park, or actually into the forest, where it's quiet and calming, and it can lower your stress and increase your overall well-being, and just be alone with your thoughts. You don't want to have your, music playing on your phone, or you don't want to be having a phone conversation while you're doing this. You just want to get out into nature and just be alone with your thoughts. Be present in the moment, and you'll see that your stress levels will drop, and you'll boost your mental health as well. So an added bonus of spending time outside is you get our much needed vitamin D from the sunshine. So our next tip, and this is probably the most important one of all, is to maintain strong social connections. Maintaining close relationships with family and friends is very important. Now, I want to read you a quote that I wrote from my cookbook, The Big Book of Mediterranean Diet Cooking. Now, it's not just a cookbook. The very first chapter of that book is all about the Mediterranean lifestyle and all the studies that show how beneficial it is in many ways. So this is a quote from the book. A Harvard study on adult development that spanned more than 75 years has shown that connecting with people may be the most important factor when it comes to longevity. Maintaining friendships, family relationships, having human interaction, and sharing and caring can get us through almost anything. You can withstand hard times, persevere through illnesses and depression by sharing the human experience with others. Now, check in on your older family members, your friends, your neighbors, and make sure they're getting some kind of human interaction. Especially as we age, loneliness can have a profound effect on our body. And, when I say check in on your elderly neighbors, if you are getting older yourself, you may want someone to do that for you. So if you start that connection now and build connections with your neighbors, they're going to try to take care of you as well. So my next tip is to learn healthy ways to deal with stress. Stress comes in many forms. It can come from our jobs. It can come from having a lack of work. It can come from a financial situation, unhappy relationships, having too many responsibilities, discrimination, abuse, bullying, from illnesses, anxiety, fear, overwhelm, a lack of sleep. There are many ways that we can get stressed out. Now, there are good stress and there's bad stress. So good stress would be something that would be excitement over an upcoming event. I remember when I was younger, I was living in New York City and I was an actress. And I would get so stressed out when I knew that I was going on stage soon. But I remember a friend said to me, but it's a good stress, right? It's excitement. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It's a good stress. I can use that and turn it into energy when I go on the stage. So there's bad stress and there's good stress. Now, to bring this back around to Queen Elizabeth again. Now, I'm sure she didn't have any financial worries, right? So she didn't have any financial stresses, but she had some other stresses in her life with her family and things like that, and just all the responsibility that was on her shoulders. But she did have good habits of how to deal with her stress. And we need to learn how to deal with bad stress without resorting to bad habits. So for many of us, that could mean our default is to overeat, or to overdrink, or overshop, or to light up a cigarette. There are many ways that people deal with bad stress, bad ways that people deal with stress. But try to find some healthier actions, like do some deep breathing, taking a walk, meditating, crafting, or doing something artistic, listening to music, or even just picking up the phone and calling a trusted friend. Now, my final tip is to get pleasure in small doses. Things like tea, coffee, dark chocolate, wine, or even the occasional cocktail. They can bring us pleasure, but we need to do them in measured doses. Now, we're always talking about moderation during this program, right? So foods and drinks have antioxidants that can help reduce inflammation and support heart health. And like anything in life, too much of a good thing is too much. Things like tea, coffee, chocolate, they have antioxidants. They're beneficial for your heart health. And likewise, red wine has a component called resveratrol, which has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, which can help protect you from diseases like cancer, diabetes, and dementia. It even helps things like arthritis and skin inflammation. So you can have your chocolate, you can have your coffee, just keep them in moderation. Have a little bit maybe each day. You probably don't want to have chocolate or wine every day, but a little bit when you do, have a glass of wine once in a while. Don't drink an entire bottle of wine. Have a really nice piece of high quality dark chocolate instead of eating an entire Hershey bar or something like that. So that's what I mean by having pleasure in small doses. The key word to remember always is moderation. We all want to live long lives, and we want to stay as healthy and active and as independent for as long as possible. So hopefully following these tips can help you do just that. Now, I have one more quote from you, and this is from William London. To ensure good health, eat lightly, breathe deeply, live moderately, cultivate cheerfulness, and maintain an interest in life. And I think that pretty much sums up this entire presentation. So thank you very much for joining me. Let me stop sharing my screen. That is all I have for you today. So unless you have any questions, let me open up the chat. Thank you for all the good information. I really enjoy your YouTube channel and newsletter. Oh, thank you, Teresa. Oh, you wrote to me yesterday, didn't you? Or the day before. Thank you so much. It really helps me keep going when I know that my message is hitting people, because sometimes you put it out in the world and people usually only write to you when they want to complain about something. So it's so nice when someone writes to you when they're actually telling you that they enjoy your content. So thank you so much. I'll tell everyone who will listen about all the good information. That's great. Thank you so much. And please share my channel with people so I can meet more lovely people like you. So that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for coming on live. I'm going to end this conversation now, and the replay will be available. You'll get an email of where you can access the replay if you want to. And I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.